Welcome to week 4 of the Bible College Vlog series. I'm Ashley. I just graduated from college. I was a biblical studies major. And let me just tell you, I'm so excited to have my undergrad degree and to be working on Coffee and Bible Time full time now. If you guys are new to this series, we've been going through the book of John and we're doing it at the level of Bible college. So this summer I took the class, John, the book of John, at Bible school. And so I'm walking you through what we did every single week in Bible college so you can kind of get a taste and a feel of what Bible college is like. So this week we're just gonna continue on with the John series, going through John at a Bible college level. If you are new here, then make sure you check out our last videos in these series because it will just make more sense to you if you start from the beginning. I'll have the card linked somewhere up here and I'll also have it linked in the description. This is already video 4, so we have 3 videos before this. So last time we studied John 6 through 9, which was all about the period of conflict, which you guys, if you are really getting into the text, you can see that things are getting heated. For those of you who think the Bible is boring, then just read these passages slowly and with thought and you will realize Jesus had some words to say and he did not have shyness. He was bold and he said the truth. Like, he came in hot and was like, look, this is the truth. So honestly, if you missed that, go back and read it more slowly and ask the Lord, open my eyes to your truth, to your word. Help it not to be boring to me. Show me what you want me to learn. And trust me, he will open your eyes to his word. So some of the things that we learned in John 6 through 9 was about Jesus feeding the 5,000, Jesus walking on water, Jesus' statements like him saying, I am the bread of life, I am the light of the world. If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. He says very, very, very bold claims in this section. One of those, the boldest claims he ever made was, before Abraham was, I am. Which if any of you guys have read the Old Testament, then you know that Jesus is referencing back to Exodus. When God literally said to Moses, Moses says, what do I call you? Like, what do I tell the people that who you are? And God says, I am. And then Jesus now says, before Abraham was, I am, meaning I was here before Abraham. I was here before Moses. I was literally here at the beginning of the world when God was creating the world. And before Abraham was, I am. So literally, I am God. That's what Jesus is saying. Some people try to argue that Jesus never claimed that he was God. This is one of the biggest claims that Jesus makes to show that he is God. So of course, John 6 through 9 is going to be called the period of conflict because Jesus made a lot of big statements, a lot of huge statements saying he is God and doing a lot of things that just caused a huge riot among the people. Jesus was even bold enough to say things such as to the Pharisees, your father is the devil. It was like a slap in the face to them and he says, you are not of God. And now he's saying these truthful things to the Pharisees because they were so blind to Jesus and his works. Although Jesus healed the sick, raised people from the dead, healed the blind, did things that no one else could do. He proved that he was a miracle working God. And yet the Pharisees were still blind and cold-hearted. And we'll see more of that today, but there was just so much conflict, and we see it even in John 7:1, which says, Jesus would not go about in Judea because the Jews were seeking to kill him. Many are hostile against him, and there was much muttering about him. The Jews were just very confused. Some thought he was a good man, some thought he was a bad man, some thought he was a sinner, some thought he was from God, some thought he was just a prophet. People didn't know. And the biggest thing is that the Pharisees were causing fear among the people, that if they believed in Jesus, then They would be kicked out of the synagogue. They would be ashamed by everyone. That's what the Pharisees were doing. So there was a big division among people. So in this week's textbook rating, I will have it linked in the description. Remember, you guys, we have these textbooks, John, the Gospel of Belief by Tenney. I'll have it linked in the description. We also have the textbook on the background history of the Gospels. So getting to know context, which is very important when reading the Gospels. So Greco-Roman World will have this linked in the description with the readings that you should be doing this week. And this week we're going to be focusing on John 9 through 12, which is titled The Period of Crisis. Last week was the period of conflict, this week the period of crisis. If you want to do Bible college, or if you want to partake in this Bible level class, there's a lot of reading. So it is what it is. It helps expand your brain. It helps you become a better student and a better just reader of the Bible. So it's totally worth it. So last week we talked about the signs, the 7 signs of John. If you didn't see last week's video, please go check it out because that is very important. I was teaching you about the 7 signs in John. We know that there are 7 signs in John because of that specific word sign in the Greek. And if you remember, these signs weren't just about the miracle. It wasn't just about Jesus healing someone. It pointed past that healing to Jesus being the Messiah. He did these things to prove that he was truly I am, that he truly was and is God. So these 7 signs are extremely important in John. And if you remember, I asked you guys to study John 5 and John 9, which show 2 different signs, and to read them right next to each other, to study them, read them, compare them, see the differences, the similarities about them. If you haven't done that, then I would actually encourage you to pause the video and do it now. Sorry, a text message went off. Pause the video and do it now. And actually, I'm going to give you guys a free PDF download so you can get it in the description, and it will help you through comparing and contrasting these 2 things. Johnny keeps texting me. I'll turn my volume down. Okay. He says, what frozen fruit should I buy? Oh, he wants to figure out how to make smoothies. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so distracted. Focus. So like I said, we're comparing John 5 and John 9. And I want to talk to you guys how I compared and contrast these 2 stories so that you can learn how to do this as well. So I put these 2 stories side by side. You can copy and paste them and put them on a document and print them out. Or like I did, I put them on my iPad and I compared the 2 right by each other on my iPad. I'm gonna leave all this linked in a PDF printable for you guys. So that will make it super easy for you guys to actually see how I compared and contrasted these 2 things. And what I did was I first read them very slowly. So I first read them slowly and thoughtfully before highlighting and comparing. And then after doing that, I highlighted, and I will leave a highlight guide in this PDF printable linked in the description. But the highlight guide that I did was that I highlighted the locations. In yellow, I highlighted Jesus and his actions. I highlighted the Pharisees, what their actions were, how they reacted. I highlighted the 2 men who were healed. I highlighted Sabbath in orange. And then I underlined in blue and boxed the very important questions that were asked in both, which these questions are, who is this man? Who healed you? What do you say about him? Very important questions that the Jews and the people were asking about Jesus. I boxed in blue. So I want you guys to pause the video and do the comparing and contrasting yourself. Pause it, read the text for yourself, actually get into the word and see these stories from the point of view of someone who was there, who was watching these things happen, who was listening to what the Pharisees were saying and listening to what the healed people were saying. Imagine yourself being the healed man who was healed. Hello? Baby, I can't talk right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm doing a video.
Okay, love you.
Wait, but do you need help with the fruit thing? So yes, make sure that you study these passages for yourself and you do some comparing and contrasting. What is similar, what is different about these stories? Pause the video here and then let's come back together and discuss. All right, so as we saw from the stories, both men were sick most of their lives. They both had diseases that no one could make them well. No doctor was out there that could heal them or make them well. There was no medications to change their situations. And really what we see in both cases is that these are completely hopeless situations. Now, the man in the first story, he had the opportunity to go down to the pool and to become healed. But as you can see, he was sitting there for years upon years, 38 years, just sitting there, waiting for the day he could be healed. What's crazy from this story is that Jesus didn't even use that lake to heal him, that pond or whatever it was, the pool. Jesus used his own words to heal him. Jesus said, you know what? I am the true healer. I am the one who gives you life. And he healed him with his own words. So also what we notice from both of these stories is that both of these healings took place on the Sabbath, which created so much commotion among the Jews and among the Pharisees. They just couldn't stand that these healings were happening on the Sabbath and that Jesus was doing that on the Sabbath. And particularly, this was probably one of the biggest reasons they couldn't stand Jesus and what he was doing. So Jesus was breaking the Pharisees' legalistic rules that they had about the Sabbath. And Jesus pretty much came and blew all their Sabbath rules out of the water. Another similarity from both of these stories is how Jesus came back at the end of the story to actually share who he really was with both of these men. I find that that's one of the most touching part of both stories is that Jesus didn't just heal them physically and then leave. Jesus came back to them, found them, and said, this is who I am. I'm Jesus. I'm your savior. I can do so much more than just heal you physically. I can heal your heart from sin and I can draw you back to myself and to God the Father. So I think that that's something beautiful from both stories is how Jesus came back and just chased these men down to present himself to them. And I see that in our own lives, how Jesus doesn't just leave us where we're at. He comes to us and he shows himself to us. He reveals himself to us, and he doesn't just leave us with one encounter with him. He constantly comes back to pursue us. So things that are different about these stories, one thing is that they were healed in completely different ways. The first way, Jesus healed with his words. The second way, Jesus spit on the mud, rubbed it on his eyes. We see that the importance isn't in how Jesus healed, but the importance is in who was behind the healing and why he healed. Another difference that we see is that the second man became a child of God. Gradually, he came to actually accept Christ and worship him. And I believe that the second man who was healed is the example that we should follow. These signs should lead us to do what the healed blind man did. He proclaimed his belief in Christ and then he worshiped Jesus. So he was healed and then he actually came back to Jesus and said, I believe in you and I worship you. He worshiped him. And that's what these signs in John, these 7 signs in John, should point us to do. They should point us to not just read about it and to go along with our days and to forget about Jesus. They should also not create in us a skepticism or, like the Pharisees, a disbelief. Rather, these signs should create in us belief and a heart that is willing and longing to worship Jesus. And the question for you, as you studied the questions within these texts, is what do you say about Jesus? Remember, in the text, it literally says, what do you say about him? What do you say about Jesus? And so that's my question for you today. What do you say about Jesus? Who is he to you? Is he someone that you can bow down and worship? Someone that you can say, I believe in wholeheartedly? Or maybe you're more skeptical like the Pharisees, or maybe you're more like the first lame man who was healed, who actually didn't end up having a come to Christ moment. Whose shoes are you in, and how do you need to turn to Jesus today? That is my question to you. Comment in the description below about how it went studying these passages. How did it go? I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts, because these passages really stuck out to me. They really touched my heart, and I'm so encouraged by the lame man I'm so encouraged by the blind man who was able to end up seeing his reaction to Jesus of just complete and utter worship and belief. That is the type of person I want to be as well. So yeah, I think that is all I have for you today. I will see you in the next John video. I'm excited to see you there very soon. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.